What you are about to hear is not an apology. It is something way more shocking. Imagine sitting next to your spouse while your ex tries to rewrite your entire relationship in real time, and it only gets worse. Stay with me till the end because this moment will leave you speechless. And if you want real breakdowns like this that expose what others miss, hit subscribe right now and join the fastest growing community catching every detail. This was supposed to be simple. It was supposed to be one of those moments where everything finally makes sense, where words bring closure, where the past is acknowledged and everyone can move forward. But instead, what unfolds feels like something completely different, something that slowly pulls you in and makes you question what you are actually watching. Because from the very first second, there is this tension that does not go away, this feeling that something is off, that what is being said does not match what has already been seen and remembered. And that is what makes it so difficult to look away, because you're not just watching a conversation, you're watching a version of reality being reshaped in real time. And the more it continues, the more uncomfortable it becomes, because there's a clear expectation sitting in the air, an expectation of accountability, of honesty, of something real. But what is delivered feels distant, almost disconnected, as if the words are trying to paint a picture that no longer exists. And you can see it on the faces around him, the quiet reactions, the restrained expressions, the kind of silence that says more than anything spoken, because in moments like this, silence is not empty. It is full of everything that is not being said. And that is where the real story begins to unfold, not in the words that are chosen, but in the ones that are avoided. And as the conversation continues, there's this shift, this subtle but powerful shift, where instead of addressing the hurt directly, the focus moves towards something softer, something more abstract, something that feels safer but also less meaningful. And that is when it becomes clear that this is not going to be the moment people were hoping for. This is not going to be the kind of apology that brings clarity or closure. This is going to be something else entirely, something that lingers and stretches and keeps you watching, because you need to understand how it ends, even though part of you already knows that it might not end the way it should. And just when you think you have a sense of where it is going, it takes another turn, and suddenly the conversation feels even more layered, because now it's not just about what happened recently, it's about everything that came before. It's about years of moments that built up to this point, moments that were seen, moments that were felt, moments that were never fully addressed. And instead of hearing those moments acknowledged in a direct way, they're wrapped in something else, something that feels almost like a story being retold through a completely different lens. And that is where the disconnect grows stronger, because as a viewer, you have your own understanding of what happened. You have watched it unfold. You have seen the patterns. You have noticed the shifts. And now you're being presented with a version that does not quite align with that memory. And that creates this tension that is hard to ignore, because it feels like two realities existing at the same time. One that is grounded in what was shown, and one that is being described in a way that softens the edges and changes the tone. And the longer it continues, the more you start to realize that this is not just about one conversation. This is about control over the narrative, about who gets to define what the past meant and how it should be remembered. And that is what makes it so compelling, because it's not just emotional, it's psychological. It's about perception and interpretation and the power that comes with shaping both. And all of this is happening in a space where emotions are already high, where history is already complicated, where every word carries weight even when it's trying not to. And you can feel that weight building. You can feel it pressing into every pause, every glance, every subtle reaction, because everyone in that moment understands that what is being said matters, but also what is not being said matters just as much, and maybe even more. And then there is that moment, that quiet realization that starts to settle in as you continue watching. The understanding that this might not lead to the kind of resolution that people expect, because true resolution requires something that is not fully present here. It requires a willingness to step outside of your own perspective and truly see things from the other side. And that is not something that can be faked. It is not something that can be replaced with carefully chosen words or poetic descriptions. It has to be genuine. It has to be grounded in a real understanding of impact. And that is what feels missing as this moment continues to unfold. Because even as certain things are acknowledged, they are not fully explored. They are not connected to the deeper experiences that gave them meaning. And without that connection, it all starts to feel surface level, like something that is meant to sound right without actually addressing what is wrong. And that is where the frustration begins to build, not just for those in the room, but for anyone watching, because you can sense what should be happening. You can almost feel the shape of the conversation that would bring clarity, but it never quite gets there. It keeps circling around. It keeps moving just close enough to keep you engaged, but never close enough to truly resolve anything. And that creates this lingering tension, this feeling that something important is just out of reach. And the longer it goes on, the more you start to wonder if it will ever be reached at all, or if this is simply where it ends, in a space that feels incomplete, unresolved, and quietly heavy with everything that remains unsaid. And just when it feels like the moment has already stretched as far as it can go, something shifts again. Not in a loud or obvious way, but in that subtle, almost invisible way, where the tone changes, and you realize that what is happening now is not just about explaining the past, it is about protecting something in the present. Because when people truly confront their actions, there is a certain clarity that comes with it, a directness that leaves little room for interpretation. But here, that clarity never fully arrives. Instead, everything feels layered with just enough distance to avoid landing on anything too concrete. And that is where the discomfort deepens, because you can sense that there are specific moments, specific memories that could be addressed, that could be named, that could be acknowledged in a way that would actually mean something, but they remain just out of reach, replaced by broader reflections and generalized statements that sound meaningful on the surface, but do not quite hold up when you look at them closely. And as this continues, the reactions in the room become even more telling, because sometimes the most honest response is not what is said out loud, but what is felt in silence. The way someone looks away, the way someone pauses before responding, the way a small expression crosses their face and disappears just as quickly. And those moments start to carry more weight than anything being spoken, because they reveal what words are trying to smooth over. They show the reality that exists beneath the version being presented, and that is what keeps pulling you deeper into this scene. Because you're not just listening to the conversation, you're reading between the lines. You're noticing the gaps. You're paying attention to what is missing and trying to understand why it is missing in the first place. And as the conversation keeps unfolding, there's this growing sense that two completely different timelines are being laid over each other. One that reflects what actually happened over the years, and one that is being reshaped in this moment. And the gap between those two timelines becomes impossible to ignore because it raises questions that do not have easy answers. Questions about intention, about awareness, about whether this is a conscious effort to reframe the past or simply a reflection of how differently one person experienced it compared to another. And that complexity is what makes the moment so difficult to process, because it's not as simple as right or wrong. It's about perspective, it's about memory, it's about how people hold on to certain parts of their experience while letting others fade. And when those versions come into conflict like this, it creates a tension that cannot be resolved with a few words. It requires something deeper, something more vulnerable, something. And then there is the presence of someone who was not part of the original story, but is now deeply connected to it. Someone who was witnessing all of this from a completely different position. And that adds another layer to everything. Because now this is not just about two people